There was no inheritance and there was no trust fund. I was living at home, living on a council housing estate. They had very, very tiny gardens. It was more of an inner city sort of setup. The area was a bit rough and you've got noisy neighbours and all those things that come with it. Very different from here. House prices were really expensive even back then, and I'd started a business in tree surgery. It was a sound investment for the yard and for the future. My passion was growing trees and having this nature around me. Now, some people's thing might be cryptocurrency, some people's thing is property. For me it was land. So the saying was, buy land, they don't make it anymore, and that really struck a chord with me. It was my father actually found it in the paper as we were looking for a yard, and I bought it with my own personal money. You couldn't get a mortgage for land. The banks only like bricks and mortar, which was surprising. So some savings went to the land, and also had to get a personal loan. And the land was £15,500 for 4.5 acres, which was an awful lot of money for me back then. Of course, it doesn't seem a lot after you bought a house. People can spend 15 grand as quick as anything, but to me it was such a lot of money. And the only way I managed to do it really is because I was still living at home. There was no inheritance and there was no trust fund. So people think you can't sort of get this without help, without either someone dying or having a trust fund. You can. I didn't have computer games. I didn't spend £50 a time on computer games. I went to work, and in the beginning we were working 6 days a week. First thing I did really is we started using it as a yard, because it comes under agricultural. We could put logs and things like that down here. We could grow trees. Planners don't like to see you turning something into a garden, but the way around that is called agroforestry. You can grow fruit and trees, and it comes under agroforestry. So, and also you want things for the bees. So if there's something flowering, planners would find it hard to argue with that, especially in a time when you need bees. I think people like to see the trees, especially in South Lincolnshire where there isn't any. You've got wind farms and things like that around, and how you can complain about trees planting would be quite cruel. But we did actually have a few complaints about that still, but yeah, there we go. We've planted easily 3,500 trees. I've lost track of how many trees we planted. We've improved the soil quality. The trees are growing, they're thriving. It took a lot of years for it to get like that. It's been a real labour of love, and there wasn't the bird song and things like that here. There wasn't the spiders running across the wood chip. We actually had our wedding on here, and we had a really good day. The weather was perfect. We were really lucky, and to have a wedding on something that you've grown from scratch is quite an achievement really, I suppose. Some of the big projects were building a barn, an oak barn, building a solar system, putting in our water filtration system, things like that. So the infrastructure side of things has been a massive undertaking, and we're completely off the grid, despite what some people may think. When you bring in perhaps the odd can of fuel or a bottle of gas, it's classed as off-grid. We've got a family now living here, and I suppose it's called the good life. Grace runs around here, and she's not in a tiny garden. She's going to have a good life surrounded by nature, and so will Albie. So Albie will be, running around here as well. They're quite fortunate really. Kind of broken the cycle. They're not going to be on a housing estate, which is brilliant. Holding out for that perfect piece of land isn't always feasible, because there's always someone there with a larger wallet than you. Get something that you can afford. So plant trees as quickly as you can, because that's the thing that's going to take quite a long time, and make it your paradise.